The rain fell like tears from heaven the day Margaret. Chen locked the door behind her orphaned nieces. 7-year-old twins Emma and Lily stood on the cracked sidewalk, their small suitcases balanced between them, watching their aunt's silhouette disappear behind drawn curtains. Just 3 weeks had passed since their parents' car had skidded off that rain-slicked highway, and now the only family they had left wanted nothing to do with them. Emma squeezed her sister's hand tighter as thunder rumbled overhead. Lily's lower lip trembled, but she didn't cry. They had learned quickly that crying changed nothing. Their matching butterfly backpacks, gifts from their mother's last birthday, hung heavy on their shoulders, stuffed with everything they had left of their old life. A few photos, some clothes, and the wooden music box their father had carved by hand. "Where do we go now?" Lily whispered, her voice barely audible over the pelting rain. Emma didn't have an answer. At 7 years old, she was exactly 4 minutes older than her twin, but in that moment, those 4 minutes felt like an impossible burden of responsibility. She opened her mouth to say something brave, something hopeful, when a silver sedan pulled up to the curb with a sudden splash. A man emerged from the driver's seat, tall and broad-shouldered, with rain already soaking through his flannel shirt. He had kind eyes, the color of warm chocolate, and a face creased with concern. Emma instinctively pulled Lily behind her, remembering every stranger danger lesson their mother had taught them. "Hey there," the man said gently, crouching down to their level despite the puddles soaking his jeans. "I'm David Morrison. I was your dad's best friend from college. I just heard about what happened, and I've been looking everywhere for you girls." Emma studied his face carefully. There was something familiar about him, though she couldn't place it. Then she noticed the silver bracelet on his wrist, identical to one she'd seen in photos of her father as a young man. Her dad had mentioned a David before, always with a smile, always with stories of their adventures. "Our aunt said nobody wanted us," Emma said, her voice sharp with hurt and defiance. "She said we were too much trouble, that she had her own life to live." David's jaw tightened, and something fierce flashed in his eyes. "Your aunt is wrong, dead wrong." He pulled out his phone and showed them a photo. It was him and their father, arms around each other's shoulders, laughing at some long-ago joke. "Your dad was like a brother to me. I was overseas when the accident happened, working on a construction project. I got back as soon as I could, but by the time I found out where you were..." He gestured helplessly at the closed door behind them. "Are you going to take us to foster care?" Lily asked, finally stepping out from behind her sister. Her voice was small but steady. "Foster care?" David looked genuinely shocked. "No, sweetheart. I'm going to take you home. My home, if you'll let me." Emma wanted to believe him. She wanted it so badly her chest ached. But she'd learned in 3 terrible weeks that adults could say one thing and mean another, could promise the world and deliver abandonment. "Why should we trust you?" she asked. David didn't look offended. Instead, he sat down right there on the wet sidewalk, heedless of the rain, bringing himself even more to their level. "Because your dad made me promise years ago that if anything ever happened to him and your mom, I'd look after you. Because I've spent the last week fighting through red tape and lawyers and social services to find you and make sure I could keep that promise. And because I knew your parents, and I know they raised you to be smart and careful, so you shouldn't trust me just because I say so. You should trust me when I prove it to you." Something in Emma's chest loosened just a fraction. "You really knew our dad?" "I really did. He was the best man at my wedding, back before my divorce. He helped me build my house with his own 2 hands. He could make anything out of wood, remember things I told him from years ago. And he made the worst dad jokes you've ever heard." David smiled, but his eyes were sad. "He talked about you girls all the time. Emma, he said you were fierce and protective, always looking out for your sister. And Lily, he said you noticed everything, remembered everything, had a heart bigger than the whole world." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "He said that every single time we talked, which I'll admit wasn't as often as it should have been these last few years. I was traveling a lot for work and he was busy with you two, but we texted every week and he sent me pictures. I watched you girls grow up through those photos. David pulled out his phone again, scrolling through image after image. Birthday parties, school plays, beach trips, ordinary moments made extraordinary by love. Emma felt her own tears coming now. What happens if you change your mind? What happens if we're too much trouble? Then we'll figure it out together, David said simply. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a single guy. I work construction. My house is small, and I don't know the first thing about raising girls, let alone twins. I'm probably going to mess up a lot, but I promise you this, I will never, ever give up on you. Your dad wouldn't have given up on me, and I won't give up on you. The rain was falling harder now, and Emma realized they were all soaked through. She looked at Lily, and something passed between them, the way it always did. They'd always had their own language, their own way of understanding each other without words. And in that moment they both felt the same thing, a tiny, fragile spark of hope. Okay, Emma said, but if you're lying, we'll run away. Fair enough, David said, standing and offering them each a hand. But I'm not lying. The drive to David's house took 40 minutes, winding through suburbs into a neighborhood of modest homes with big yards. His house was a small ranch style with blue shutters and a porch swing. Inside it was clean but clearly a bachelor's space. Practical furniture, minimal decoration, and a distinct lack of anything child-friendly. I know it's not much, David said, setting their suitcases down in the living room. But the spare bedroom is yours. We'll need to get another bed and probably a lot of other stuff. I made a list. He showed them a notepad covered in scrawled items. Beds, sheets, curtains, school supplies, clothes, toys. Night lights. Despite everything, Emma almost smiled. You made a list? I make lists for everything. Your dad used to tease me about it. David rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. I figured if I'm going to do this, I should do it right. But I'll need your help. I don't know what 7-year-old girls need. Over the next few weeks, something unexpected happened. David didn't try to replace their parents. He didn't pretend everything was okay. Instead, he showed up every single day, trying his best and admitting when he failed. He learned to braid hair through YouTube videos, his large, calloused hands surprisingly gentle as he practiced on Lily's long dark locks. He took them shopping and let them pick out comforters and curtains, transforming the spare bedroom into a space that felt like theirs. He also kept his promise in ways they hadn't expected. When Emma had nightmares and woke up screaming, he sat with her until dawn, never once complaining about missing sleep before work. When Lily went silent for 3 days straight, lost in her grief, he didn't force her to talk. He just sat nearby, letting her know she wasn't alone. And slowly, impossibly, the house started to feel like a home. 3 months after that rainy day, David came home from work to find the girls waiting on the porch, their faces serious. His heart sank, wondering if they'd decided they wanted to leave after all. We need to talk, Emma said. David sat down on the porch swing, bracing himself. Okay. We've been thinking, Lily added, about what to call you. You mean my name? David asked, confused. We can't call our parents' friend Dad, Emma explained. That wouldn't be right. But calling you David feels weird too, because you're not just some guy anymore. David's throat tightened. You can call me whatever feels right to you. The twins looked at each other, having one of their silent conversations. Then Lily spoke up. Our dad used to talk about his best friend, the one who was like a brother. He called him his family by choice. So we thought, Emma continued, maybe you could be Uncle David because you chose us. And we're choosing you. David had faced down dangerous construction sites, survived a year in a war zone, and endured the pain of divorce. But nothing had prepared him for the overwhelming emotion of this moment. 2 little girls who had every reason to trust no one were choosing to trust him. Uncle David, he repeated, his voice rough. I'd be honored. That night, as he tucked them into their beds, something caught his eye. On Lily's nightstand sat the wooden music box their father had made. She wound it up and a soft melody filled the room. Emma reached out and took David's hand. Thank you for finding us, she whispered. David squeezed her hand gently, remembering his friend, honoring a promise, and embracing the unexpected family he'd found in the ruins of tragedy. Thank you for letting me." Outside, rain began to fall again, but this time it sounded different. Not like tears, but like grace, like second chances, like love that persists even when the world falls apart, carried forward by those brave enough to choose kindness over convenience, to see children not as burdens, but as precious gifts, deserving of protection and devotion. In a world that had shown them cruelty, one man's faithfulness had restored two little girls' belief in goodness. And in caring for them, David had discovered his own purpose, his own redemption. Proof that family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about showing up, keeping promises, and loving fiercely even when it's hard. Sometimes it's about being exactly who someone needs, exactly when they need it most.